There's a verse almost everybody quotes wrong. The truth will set you free. You've seen it on posters, on tattoos, in graduation speeches. But Jesus never said truth just floats down out of nowhere and frees you. He gave you a very specific order, and most people skip the first 3 steps to get to the last one. If you've ever gone to church your whole life, known all the right answers and still felt stuck inside, stay with me. By the end of this, you'll know exactly 5 steps Jesus gives to real freedom, not the fake kind. Jesus says that if you hold to my teachings, you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. He actually goes on to say, if you hold to my teachings, you are really my disciples. To follow Jesus, to know him, that is what it means to be a disciple. And Jesus said, if you follow me, hold to my teachings, freedom will come to your life. Look at the order. He doesn't say, know the truth first, then maybe obey me. He says, hold to my teachings first, then you're truly my disciples, then you'll know the truth, then the truth sets you free. Believe, hold on, obey, know the truth, receive freedom. That's the order. If you want faith that actually changes you, not just information, hit the subscribe button right now, and I'll break down a passage like this every single week. For years, I treated Christianity almost like it was a self-improvement program. Be a better person, stop doing the bad stuff, improve your behavior. And yes, obedience matters, but Jesus is talking about something deeper. I just really thought, okay, you got to be a better person, and Jesus is the way to be a better person. Hold to his values, and you will be a better person, and God willing, you'll get to heaven. That was my Reader's Digest of Christianity. Now I'm understanding, man, we neglected so much in the group I was with to teach about the Spirit. The Spirit is what we need to be in touch with. The Spirit is who we need to align ourselves with. C.S. Lewis describes it this way. He says your biology equals bio, and then your spirit is a zoe, which is the spirit that lives in you. And so he's like, yeah, there's a biological side to us, but then there is the zoe side, which is the spirit. And in Job chapter 10, Job says, you filled me with bones, sinew, and covered me with sin, but you overlooked my spirit. Not overlooked it, but watched over my spirit. And we're the same. God gave us a spirit inside us, but our choice is to follow God. We have to train ourselves to listen to God's voice. Jesus said, people will know my voice. We have to learn to listen for God's voice speaking to us. Jesus said it plainly, very truly I tell you, everyone who sins is a slave to sin. This isn't primarily about the Roman government or political freedom. This is slavery inside the human heart. Slavery to pride, to performance, to needing to be right, to comparison, to religious image management, to simply not being able to hear God anymore because you're so used to managing how you look. And then Jesus says, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Not partially free, not religiously improved, not more polished on the outside, free indeed. Freedom doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from the Son himself. In 2 Corinthians 3, Paul says, wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And we with unveiled faces who contemplate the glory of the Lord are being transformed into his likeness with ever-increasing glory that comes from the Lord. And the Lord is the Spirit. He says he was using an analogy here where people were looking at Moses' face and they were being filled with disbelief. And yet he says we with unveiled faces, because Moses, they couldn't handle him, they put a veil over his face. When we believe in Jesus and turn to him, a veil is on over our heart, is lifted. But what we do is contemplate the glory of the Lord. Who's the glory of the Lord? It's Jesus. And in chapter 4, he says, we, in the face of Jesus, we stare in the face of Jesus. That's an imagery in the inner world of your life. That's how we transform, not from effort, but from knowledge and relationship with Jesus. Then we grow because of that. Jesus keeps pressing this one issue, hearing. You can sit through a sermon and not hear God. You can read a verse and not let it touch you. You can know all the Christian language and still resist the Spirit underneath it. You can claim the church, the traditions, the right background, and still not be free on the inside. And that's exactly where transformation stalls out. If you can't admit you're bound, you can't receive the Son who set you free. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So when he says, you know the truth, he's not just saying you'll understand correct doctrine. He's saying, you'll know me. You'll recognize my voice. You'll receive my Spirit. You'll live from my life, not your own effort. Obedience matters, but obedience isn't the finish line. It's what lines you up to actually receive his life. That's the difference between religion and real discipleship. Religion says, I know the right words. Discipleship says, I hear God's voice and I let it change me from the inside out. So what do you actually do with this today? 4 things. 1, name one area of your life where you've leaning on religious performance instead of Jesus' life in you. In other words, what the church doctrine, what the structure is, that you constantly lean on that, but you're not really conscious of what you're feeling inside. Church attendance, just being a goody two turning up to church. The good one having the right answers, name it honestly. Take a look into yourself. Are you hearing the voice of God? Or are you leaning in church structure and friendship and even the Bible? That you're leaning into that because you know it's like a textbook, which it's not supposed to be. It's spiritual. 2, ask yourself the questions these people couldn't answer. Where am I not free, even though I look free on the outside? Where are you stuck? What's a pet sin you have? What gets you into conflict? What are those things that you feel like, man, I'm not like Jesus? 3, practice holding to one thing Jesus taught this week. Not to earn freedom, but to become obedient. Position you to actually hear his voice. 4, give 5 minutes a day to silence, not talking, not asking for things, just Jesus. What are you saying? And wait. Here's your homework this week. Write this down. Day 1 and 2, read John 8, verse 31 through to 47, and look at how many times Jesus acknowledges he was God, and see how incredibly deaf they were to him. Read it slowly 3 times. Underline every place Jesus mentions hearing. Day 3 and 4, journal one honest answer to this. What am I calling freedom that actually is just religious performance? Day 5 through 7, before you do anything else each morning, ask God one question. What do you want to say to me today? What have you seen in me, God, that needs to be purified, cleansed? What do I need to hear from you? Then sit in 60 seconds of silence before you move on. Small steps, but that's the difference between knowing about Jesus and actually knowing him. If this helps you see John differently, subscribe so you don't miss the next week, and share this with one person who needs to hear that real freedom isn't about trying harder. It's about receiving the Son. Believe, hold on, obey, hear the voice, know the truth. That's the path. I'll see you in the next one.